on the earth. So God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all life on the earth." So we are promised that never again will the earth be wiped out by a flood. Never again will everybody die by the waters of a flood. Doesn't mean there won't be little floods, but a full earth flood. If the earth falls again into sin and wickedness, and of course we know that it does, and we're going to read about that chapter after chapter for a while, God will find another way. And the sign of that promise is the rainbow. This is a sign of hope. This is a sign that God keeps his promises, a sign of security. For Noah and all who were living on that boat, at the time that God placed the rainbow in the sky, they began new lives. They had to rebuild, they had to repopulate, they had to replant, and they had to care for all of creation. And they had to nurse it into something wonderful and beautiful. And you know, a rainbow really is a beautiful thing. God put it in the clouds as a sign of this covenant. But amazingly, it's placed in the clouds, if you read it carefully, by God, not so much for us, but for God. God said, when this bow is in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant. It's a reminder that God put it there for himself to remember this covenant, this promise that this flood, it would never happen again. I like to think of it as God's sticky note in the sky. Don't send another flood on the whole earth. Figure something out. These people need a new beginning, but this isn't it. And really, this isn't just about a flood that God won't destroy the earth with. Because it would really be a strange promise if God won't destroy all living creatures with a flood, but it's okay to do it with fire or tornadoes or whatever else. No, instead, for the ancient people, water meant chaos. That's what it represented. So the waters or floods are the most terrifying method of destruction that you could have possibly imagined to wipe out all life. So what God was promising here was not to wipe out all life in the name of starting over with this kind of violence ever again. And really, he had to know that humans weren't going to change. Humans were going to keep behaving badly. If you keep reading the story after these verses, I don't think it was in our story chapter, but if you went back to your Bibles and kept reading, you'd find that Noah pretty much immediately falls back into the ways of humankind. The old ways of wickedness and sin. And he was supposed to be the good guy, the righteous man. So was there ever any hope that wickedness wasn't going to run rampant across the world again? And yet still, with this rainbow, God is promising never again, no matter how bad it gets, God was going to find another way. You know, as I was reading this story this week, I noticed something. That in the church, when we talk about this story, we talk about it as Noah's Ark, right? That's what we call it, Noah's Ark. Noah builds the boat. Noah gathers the animals 2 by 2. Noah does so many things. But the story's never really about Noah. Because if you read it, Noah doesn't speak until the very, very end. The only one who ever does any talking is God. Noah's just following instructions. God has created the earth. God